696 is where we should be. We left off last time, and Dido, very dramatically, she had tried to atalera gravis oculos. She tried to what? Lift up her gravis oculos, her eyes. She quaesiwit the lucem one more time.
She saw the light.
Saw the light. She sought the light one more time, and when she found it, she sighed. Then Juno came along. First time Juno's done anything nice for any character in the story. Juno finally comes along and says, "You know what? You suffered long enough," and sent down whom?
Iris.
Sent down Iris. And Iris did what?
Release her struggling spirit and loosen her.
Released her struggling spirit and loosened her bound limbs. I will tell you, if you go on eBay, and I'm not going to, because we got time, I'm not going to look it up right now. There was a great company back in the 1970s, and I don't know if they lasted to the 80s or not, called Miko. And Miko made all kinds of superhero action figures. And among the many Miko products I had as a lad was a 12-inch Captain America. And this Captain America, plastic, hands, feet, arms, actually kind of a rubberized head, but then an actual cloth suit on the action figure, and he had a little shield. I played with that Captain America so much. The inside, you had a torso, and the two extremities, 2 arms, 2 legs, they were all held into the torso, and what allowed for movement, by very sturdy rubber bands. That's what held the thing in work. I played with him so much that the rubber band snapped, eventually. And the limbs just went, it's just like Hegel just went all loose. That's this, exactly. Brenda, picking up what I'm laying down. There it is. That's nice.
So her finally dying and your toy breaking.
Yes, because it said her limbs went, loose.
I'm gonna be honest, probably care more about Captain America's 12-inch figure than
Well, there you go. And I'll be honest, probably no. Yeah, definitely when I was your age, yeah, same thing. Now I gotta be honest, I've searched high and low for Trojan War action figures and nobody makes them.
Yeah,
probably. I was thinking it'd be some weirdo brand, some country, somewhere made Trojan War action figures nobody has.
You find a toy Trojan War.
What's that?
You would think with the movie.
Well, when Brenda makes the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not that. Nah.
Can I be Aeneas? I mean Achilles in your movie.
Oh! You know what? Well, I would desperately love to see the Idiot as a full action film. If you did it as some sort of Disney Pixar deal, there would be a toy line out to kazoo. I mean, we would have the little Trojan horse. We'd have.
You have to mangle the mythology.
We'd have little action figures and the little Carthage playset. There'd be a palace with Dido, Aeneas, and a fire. They wouldn't put that in the story. They wouldn't put that in.
Yeah, they would.
Does he back then, like 10 years ago, longer?
Might have.
G then is not G now.
This is true.
Like they would have cut away at the last scene before the sword went through, but they would have essentially shown it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now it's cut off.
An action figure.
Oh, yes. Dido with sword.
Oh god.
That's funny. That's so.
And there's like a little button.
That's too funny. She's like Anna.
Yes, there's a little string in her back.
Anna, sister.
All of this is a sick class.
I love it.
Funny.
That's why you love us.
The figure does is cry.
All the animated does, you gotta add water. You put a little stop, pour water in, and a little water drips out her eye.
It's sad.
Yes.
We were not going over this if it wasn't for you.
You realize the money that's waiting to be made on this line of toys right now?
Oh, so much.
Oh.
Did I show you the bag of glass?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like a bag of glass.
Yeah, you could.
Non qui nec facto meritam nec morte peribat.
But they do it.
Sed miserante diem subito quacensa furore. Non illi flavam proservina vertice crinem obstulerat stigioque caput damnaurat orco. Iris came down and did this, for it says, she peribat. Perira is the root of.
She died.
She died. It's the root of perish, right? And literally, if you think about pereo as a word for to die, great word for to die, because pereo means what? Ira is to go, through, right? You're going through to the other side. You're crossing over from this one to the next side. Break on through. Okay.
Oh yeah. Wait, Mr. Bergen, since it's imperfect, was it she was dying?
She was dying, yes. She was dying. Obviously, she's been dying for some time here. She's been dying for several pages. She was dying nec fatum, not by fate, and nec merita morte, not by a deserved death. Right? So this is not natural causes. It's not anything that you would reasonably expect, because it's a suicide. Now, here's the thing I got to say. I could easily see somebody botching a translation of this line and saying she died not by a deserved fate. What's wrong with that? Deserved goes with death. Okay, fato is more clearly perhaps not going to be a feminine. Fato is a second declension of some kind. And even if you didn't remember that fatum is neuter, you could at least recognize that O is second declension and know that it's not going to be feminine, whereas the morte certainly could be, and in fact is. Sed misera ante diem subito accensa furore. She didn't die by fate or by deserved death, but she died misera, wretched ante diem. Before her day, before her time, right? And again, notice the shifting use of the adjective here. Here now, the misera is not describing any of these possible causes of death, but the misera here is what case?
Is it ablative?
Mini ablative.
It's
It's a nominative.
Yeah.
So modifying the implied subject of peribat, which is who? Which is died. But she, being miserable, right, that very Latinate kind of construction, died before her time. And subito accensa furore. And suddenly, nobody expected this. She, having been accensa furore, inflamed by rage, inflamed by madness. So totally not what you would expect there. Okay. What words does Catullus use in 101? Did we read the brother poem last year?
Yeah.
He definitely says, indigne adempte me, your brother unworthily snatched away from me. I guess maybe he doesn't. I think if he used any form of Mario in that poem. At any rate, certainly the idea there is, right, it's an unjust death. We didn't expect the brother to die and so forth, and we didn't read more of those things. None, because of all this, right? Because she was dying not by fate, not because, she got run over by a Mack truck, but because she, was crazy. Nondum illi flavum Proserpina vertice crinem obstulerat. Proserpina had nondum done something.
And not yet.
And not yet obstulerat. Good, taken. Somebody tell me, let's break this down. What is obstulerat a compound of? Of and of and. This is tricky. The S has nothing to do with it. The S just makes it flow better.
Tulo?
Thule comes from what verb?
To hold.
Pharaoh.
No.
Pharaoh. Good,
Oh,
John. Good, John. This is from Ob and Pharaoh. Okay? In fact, if you combine those two, better working marker here, if you combine Ob and Pharaoh, interestingly what you get is Al Pharaoh. This is really worth observing. Al Pharaoh is Ob Pharaoh. Al Pharaoh, Al Pharaoh. Then you get your Ob back, but there's a natural hiatus between the B and the T sound. Ob Thule. You can't say it smoothly. And so the S that functions nothing else but to help you say it more smoothly. Obstule. Obstule. And then you get it more clearly in the last part, oblatus. Okay? So that's really what's going on there. Great. Great there, John. Okay, so Proserpina had not yet taken away her flawum crinum, her yellow hair. Now listen, hey there, fellow with the hair colored yellow. What you trying to prove? That's my woman there, and I'm a man who cares. And this might be all for you. So won't you give me 3 steps? Give me 3 steps, mister. Give me 3 steps toward the door. Leonard Skinner, Southern Rock, boys and girls. Southern Rock.
Honestly, the meter that it's in sounds exactly like that one down there.
Well, again, Southern Rock. You're Charlie Daniels, right? That one down to Georgia. He went for a soul studio. Even in Bangs, he's way behind. He's going to make a deal. I don't like yellow hair. I mean, because it makes me think of that song. Hey there, fellow with the hair colored yellow. What are you trying to prove? No, hair isn't yellow. It's what?
Gold.
Golden, blonde, something like that. Just, I mean, yellow. Just sounds like somebody dumped highlighter ink on her head or something. Proserpina had not yet snatched away her golden hair from her vertice, from the top of her head, and had not caput damnaverat. Be careful about a derivative here. You don't want to go derivative on this word, although you can see where the derivative comes from. Get a literal definition for damnaverat. She had not yet damnaverat her caput. Condemned her head, and to Stygio Orco. To Stygian Orcus. All right, lots of things to say here. Lots of great imagery here. First of all, you got a footnote there about Proserpina and the hair. What's this about getting a haircut when you die?
She's supposed to cut a lock from the head of the guy as a sort of offering to the gods of the
There you go. Cut a lock of hair. You know, there's all kinds of symbols of death. And I think back with the Alcestis play we read in second year, there's reference to lustral water. There's a great word, lustro lustrare. Okay? Lustro lustrare. Interestingly enough, it can mean two seemingly very different things. It can mean to walk around, and by extension it can mean to survey. And it also means to purify. You go, well, there's a connection here. And the idea is that a priest would walk around a particular place and maybe sprinkle water or sprinkle grain or something to sanctify a place. And then we get a great adjective from that in English, lustral, L-U-S-T-R-A-L. Lustral is almost always applied to water, which is purifying, holy water, something like this. So we saw that as actually a reference in the Alcestis where people were trying to figure out, well, is Queen Alcestis dead or not? Right? They're like, well, we don't see the basins of lustral water. They hadn't been put out yet. And I think there was a reference, I had to go back and check, but I think there's a reference to there was no lock of hair nailed to the threshold of the door. Okay, that would have been a reference here to Persephone or Proserpina taking the lock of hair. I would have you bear that in mind, because when we come back in January, which from where we are now feels like about just a few minutes away, January is, Marcus, stay with us, bud. We're going to read an English mock epic. It's going to take us about 3 days to read it. An English mock epic by none other than Alexander Pope. Do you honestly think I'd take class time to read any other and it's called The Rape of the Lock. I don't know if anybody's heard of it.
Yeah, we read that last year.
I heard of that.
Yeah.
Who read it last year?
English, tonight.
What?
We read part of it.
Who read it? What teacher?
John Frey, all of them.
Outstanding. I'm glad to hear that civilization has returned. Well, we're going to read the whole thing. It's only 6 cantos, and we take it in 3 days. But, and those of you who read it, you'll remember this. When Belinda, right, Arabella Fermor, the real woman behind the poem, but Belinda in the story, when her hair gets cut, a lock of hair gets cut off by Lord Peter.
I graded those.
What happens to it? Do you remember?
Where's that one?
She gets mad, but what happens to the lock of hair?
That one's just random like one.
It gets taken up into the heavens and turned into a constellation. And so there's this notion of taking a lock of hair. That really goes back to antiquity. Then, okay, so she hadn't taken it away yet. Now, Stygia Orca. That's almost like saying hellish hell. It's this really intensifying thing. Orcus is the underworld. Stygius is the adjective form of what river? Styx. Well, where else is the Styx but in the underworld? So to say Stygio Orco, right, is this kind of almost redundancy here, Stygian Orcus. Now, that gives a great derivative. Stygian. Wonderful English derivative. Stygian means really, really dark, black, evil almost. Very good word to use of literature or a play or something. Something to be described as Stygian. It is incredibly dark, which a lot of folks tend to like their comic book movies these days. Now, I don't know that I would necessarily call any of the Dark Knight movies genuinely Stygian. Maybe. But that's a great adjective there.
We also get orc from orcas.
The orcs, yes. By the way, Hobbit, were we talking about Hobbitus LA?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'm picking it up tomorrow. Got it, and I'll bring it in and show you guys. There are 2 copies up the Carmel Barnes and Noble, and I got one of them. So.
Nice.
All right.
Wait, Carmel?
We live in Westfield.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I have no problem using Carmel for the things that the city can provide me.
Okay, never mind that. I'm good with that.
Okay.
I was actually in Westfield over the weekend.
What's that?
St. Mary Grady.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, we had cereal games there.
Wow, well, I'll tell you what, anytime you spend in Westfield is good time. It's time well spent. Ergo iras, crocis per caelum, roscida pennis, mille trahins, varios adversos, sole colores, de volat et supra caput astitit. Whatever you do, Brenda, you can't shoot this one in black and white. Because this movie is technicolor. I mean, I'm telling you, the guy is. Did you ever see? There's a Robin Williams movie called What Dreams May Come. Have you seen that?
I don't remember. That sounds.
It's a very sad premise. His wife has died, and he will do anything to see her once again.
Isn't that like Andy Roberts' movie right there?
His wife is dead.
Well,
divorced.
I believe it's Cuba Gooding Jr. who leads him to some kind of like Elysian Fields kind of a place to try to find his wife. The thing is, what everybody knows about the movie is it was just so lushly shot, the colors, which, and not natural, I mean, it's the special effects are enhanced, but just lush, just super rich colors to indicate this sort of afterlife. That is this next scene. I mean, it is saturated with color. Therefore, iris with crocis pennis, with saffron. I like that. Saffron. Again, you could say yellow if you wanted to. Saffron sounds better. With saffron pennies. With saffron wings. Roscida iris. She's got saffron or yellowish wings, but she herself is Roscida. Dewy. With dewy iris with saffron wings. Percailum. Through the sky. Trahanes mille varios colores. Yeah, I don't think you want drag on this one. That would be too physical a word. Trailing, yes, trailing, drawing behind her, right? But definitely trailing, I think, really gets it nicely. Trailing, mille varios colores. Trailing 1,000 various colors. Okay, trailing 1,000 various colors with the sole adverso. with the sun facing. So again, what phenomenon is associated with Iris?
Rainbow.
The rainbow, right? So when the sun is flashing against it, suddenly you see the 1,000 beautiful colors. Just a glorious image here. Trailing 1,000 various colors as the sun faces her, she dewolat. She flies down, present tense, and she astitit supra caput. How delicate, how light. She astitit. She stands, you could almost say hovers, I think it's probably nice. She hovers supra caput. Above her head. Above her head. And again, when we read the Rape of the Lock, Pope creates the whole fairy realm of fairies called sylphs. And he describes it very similarly to Iris here. These sylphs are all kind of gossamer wings and beautiful colors, and they're very frail and very light. And so you kind of have that image here. And, I'm going to go back before we get this last sentence or two here. When we first read Catullus and Horace last year, I think a lot of folks were surprised, maybe, given all the stuff that we'd read before from the Romans. Your Caesar and the Cicero and the political intrigue and bloody war and all this kind of stuff. Clearly the Romans were capable of really beautiful thoughts and their literature as well. Yeah, Rachel.
This is kind of random, but I'm not positive. But there are two ballets that have silks that are very ethereal.
Do you know the names?
Lesophede. It's like Lesophede and Lesophede. Like.
Okay. I don't know those, and I'm sorry I don't know more ballet.
It's okay.
Do you know the time period when they were composed?
Romantic. So it makes sense.
Is your question whether or not that might have been derived from Pope, or he might have gotten it from that? Is that your, or you're just making a connection there?
I was thinking that they were. It was a similar picture. That's all I was saying.
Oh, okay. And certainly I think, yeah, I think it certainly has been adapted, and I think maybe you could reasonably trace an influence there. Yeah, Marcus?
I got kind of a modern connection to sylphs.
By the way, Rachel's dancing in not correct.
Phyllis.
But
good job, Rachel.
We're proud. We're proud. Yes.
Pokemon, in the old Pokemon games, you had to get these sylph scopes so you could see the ghosts. And this,
Really?
One tower.
But that was spelled differently.
Did not know that.
That was spelled with an I, though.
She quoted
Ballet.
ballet,
Pokemon.
but okay.
Hey, something involving
I
sylphs.
did Southern Rock, so I mean,
Hey.
I'm on the blue collar end of things, right along with you there. That's
Hey.
highfalutin. Yeah, student number boy.
Another connection to sylphs. Are they like in Pope's thing? Were they like connected to the wind, or in the ballets that Rachel mentioned? Were they connected
Certainly
to the wind?
they are light and airy creatures. They are certainly creatures of the air.
Okay. Because, like Marcus connected it to Pokemon.
Trying to think of anything particularly about wind, I'm not recalling.
Because a game series that I've played, there's the summon of wind that is called the Sylph.
Oh, is that right?
And it's a recurring summon, but it's always pertaining to wind or lightning or elements pertaining to the air.
Okay.
So I didn't know if that was a connection.
Yeah, Caleb.
Like, they always have been wind spirits, like from the beginning when they were invented by mythology.
To connect it with the wind. Certainly as opposed to water sprites or woodland nymphs or something like that. Okay. Hunc ego diti sacrum Iussifero, te questo corpore salvo, she says. I, having been Iussa, having been ordered, I ferro hunc sacrum diti. I take this sacred, implied maybe donum perhaps, the sacred gift, diti, dative, to Pluto. Dis ditus. Dis, in fact, itself is just another word for the underworld sometimes, or a synonym for Pluto. She says, I so ordered, bear this sacred gift to Pluto, and I salvote and release you from isto corpore, from that body of yours. Seek ait, seek dicit if you prefer. So she speaks, and with her dextra crinum seca. And with her right hand she cuts the hair, she cuts the lock. Omnes et una de lapsus calo ad quinventus vita reces. Absolutely beautiful. Omnes calo. All of the heat, meaning of her body. Una. At the same time, having delapsus, having departed. Here's the thing. Calor and vita basically are the compound subject of recessit, even though recessit is singular. So her calor and her vita. Let me start that one. Her calor and her vita. Her heat, and her body heat and her vita, and her very life, recessit into the ventos. Vanished into the winds. And it happened all at once. Right? So the heat left the body, the life left the body. So the connection of heat and life together there. A beautiful, beautiful ending. Hey, that's nice. That's nice.
I have a grammar question.
Yes, sir.
You said that recessit, you said, was the verb, like the
Yes.
float in the winds? And you said it was with two
Yes.
subjects? Wouldn't that, I'm not 100% sure, but wouldn't that be a compound subject? And
It is.
therefore,
Therefore, it
wouldn't-
should be a plural verb.
it would usually?
Should be a plural verb.
Okay, because I'm thinking they were both singular subjects, and even if, I don't know. Maybe it's just meaning like
Here's
the body
thing.
heat when
No,
the wind.
Nobody's instructed anybody to back up yet. We've seen this kind of thing before. We've got a compound subject, calor atque vita. Singular verb though, recessit. Couple things going on here. One, he's tightly joined these two things with his adverb una. Okay? So he's really tightly joining the notion of the heat and the body heat and the life. So, kind of suggesting the one concept hence a singular verb. Another reason is sometimes Latin will do this. If you've got a compound subject, the verb will agree, whether in gender if necessary or in number, simply with the closer one. And so since vita is immediately preceding the recessit, you could have it that way as well. Questions about the quiz tomorrow? We got vocab, we've got other stuff. And Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're talking health.
Woo!
Ellen, you're so fun.
So
Wednesday seems so far away?
No, Helen.
Oh.
was there a fire? That was fire?
Oh, do you want me to turn this off?
Yeah, sure.
For that.
Bye.